Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue. Today, I'm at the site of historic Cobbs Creek Golf Course. Well, part of it in Philadelphia, part of it in Delaware County. You've probably heard about a restoration project here on the golf course, but there's a lot more than just golf that's being brought to this campus. Tiger Woods and the Tiger Woods Learning Center is directly behind me. And also they have plans for a three-tiered driving range and also an events room and clubhouse in addition to 18 championship holes designed by Gil Hanse and Jim Wagner. We're going to talk in the next half hour about what's already been done to help youngsters in this area of Philadelphia. But there's a lot more to talk about and a timeline for when golfers will be able to enjoy a championship golf course at an historic club, Cobbs Creek. So we'll be back to talk about what's planned, what's already been accomplished, the restoration of Cobbs, next here on Inside Golf. The 28th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf, the first tee of Greater Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Association of Golf Course Superintendents, the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, Jersey Man and Philly Man Magazine, and Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia section of the PGA.
Golf is the great equalizer. For many, this journey is an escape from reality, a chance to be part of a team, a career opportunity. PGA Reach impacts lives through golf by lifting people up, giving them hope, and sending them down an alternate path that they never saw coming. With PGA Reach Philadelphia, as in life and in golf, the most important shot you take is the next one.
The Golf Association of Philadelphia. Founded in 1897, GAP is the nation's oldest regional or state golf association. We serve amateur golf in Eastern PA, Southern New Jersey, and all of Delaware. GAP welcomes all golfers, junior or senior, male or female, public or private. Join the Golf Association of Philadelphia today. Our mission is always to preserve, protect, and promote the great game of golf. Before you tee it up, look us up. Visit gapgolf.org to find out more.
Welcome back. Inside Golf continues here at historic Cobbs Creek Golf Course. Most of it in the city limits, a little bit in Delaware County. And I'm joined with two men who are intimately involved, not only in the restoration of this historic piece of golf course land, but also in other things, like a learning center, a driving range. Wow, what a restoration. Enrique Hervada and Don DeSinger. Enrique, you are the hands-on COO of the Cobbs Creek Foundation. This has become part of your life for how many years now?
Almost 5.
5 years?
Yep.
Okay. Well, you know, I've been hearing about this project for a long time, 10 years maybe. It started out as, hey, they're going to restore Cobbs. Well, a lot of things had to be done, but we're getting there, right? What's the ultimate goal here?
Yeah, the ultimate goal from our perspective as the foundation is to have an inclusive place. It always was inclusive, with an educational component to it. So there's recreational activities, but there's also an educational component to it as well. And I look at it as, I think it's going to be Philadelphia's public golf mecca, you know, with a restaurant, driving range, short course, learning lab, and all the things we're going to have here.
Yeah, and you have a big name attached to the Learning Lab. It's TGR, and yes, it is Tiger Woods. It's one of 2 right now that he has in the country. The other one is in Southern California, near where he grew up. And now, here at Cobbs Creek, and he's a big proponent of this, not only the Learning Center, but what you're doing here at a club like Cobbs Creek.
Yeah, you know, the McGuire family was really the ones that got this thing pushed. Chris Lang obviously was involved in the beginning as well, and he's still involved. But the McGuire family really pushed this, and education is a huge thing to them. They have a huge foundation. Mr. McGuire is very committed to education, and so is his son, Chris. And so education was going to be a part of this as soon as they got involved with it. And we were looking for a partner to have to help us with the educational component, and we found TGR's foundation. They have one learning lab in Anaheim, California. This is the second one they've built. There's one under construction in LA, and they're talking about some other ones coming up too. And what they do is they do STEAM education. It's after school programs on the weekends and in the summer. So the kids come here in addition to their regular schooling. We've been open for about a month now at the Learning Lab. It's a pretty exciting time for us. We've been working on this for a long time. And the first thing we did was build the Learning Lab.
Right, right. Don Singer, what's your role in all this? I know your background is in development construction, and it's quite an impressive resume. Well, first of all, tell us some of the projects you were involved in, Don, for a long time.
Well, I've been involved for about 40 years with a firm by the name of Ewing Cole. And they built some landmarks here in Philadelphia, Citizens Bank Park.
That's a landmark?
Yeah. My role was the director of the Sports and Entertainment Group, which actually developed those projects. We've done sports and development projects like MetLife Stadium across the country.
Former home of Saquon Barkley, by
Yeah,
the way,
former
right?
home of Saquon. Thankfully, he's an Eagle. But most importantly, a firm like Ewing Cole really focused on large-scale development. And that's where I cut my teeth, and I understood how to assemble projects of great scale and complexity. And this project has that.
A lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the great realities of this project, which you don't realize, is it's 350 acres, which is a lot for a golf course.
Right.
And it's always been a 36-hole track over time.
That's what Cobbs and neighboring
Cobbs
Carricong.
and Carricong.
Yeah.
But the complexity here is that it lives along a creek, which is considered a part of the Delaware River, which makes it a part of the waters of the U.S., which means the Army Corps of Engineers is looking over our shoulder. FEMA looks over our shoulder. The EPA looks over our shoulder and regulates us, as well as the Department of Environmental Protection of the City of Philadelphia. Then also Delaware County, because part of the golf course lives in Delaware County on the other side of the stream. And Delaware County is Delco's environmental district, and so they have something to say. And of course then, Upper Darby Township, who is the local for Delaware County in this location.
So you have Philly and Upper Darby.
Yes.
From
and then all the counties,
yeah.
you know, what they have to say. And then the City of Philadelphia, which really is the engine that drives the permissions that ultimately allow us to build everything that you see here.
Right.
So it's streets, it's water, right? It's PGW, it's Comcast, it's Verizon. There was no public infrastructure in this 350 acres, and we had to figure out how to get that infrastructure here and connect it to our new facilities, which required partnerships with all of those jurisdictions and agencies to get to a point where they understood the vision that we had and understood the relationship between everything, which was my job, to build the chemistry between the agencies and my teammates, my architects and engineers and builders, to peacefully coexist to get this done.
Got it. Enrique, we're sitting, well, behind us is the Learning Center, and we're sitting actually as on part of what is a short hole course, right? 9 holes. And then eventually the 18 championship holes will designed by local guys in Gil Hanse and Jim Wagner. This looks beautiful, but it's not open for play yet. And then the construction of the 18 holes is getting started, I'd assume, or where are we in terms of
Yeah, so
that?
why don't I give you a timeline? The first thing we did was a reservoir. We built a reservoir
Yeah.
up on the north end of the property to irrigate the golf course. Okay, that was the first thing we did. The second thing we did was build the Learning Lab. We felt that was the most important part of our project, the educational mission. So we started with the TGR Learning Lab here. And then we have a 9-hole short course here that's designed by TGR Design, Tiger's firm. This will be open in September. And you know, it's actually, it looks like you can play it now, but it's actually still growing in, so it needs a few more months to get the root structures down. But this is going to open in September. And then behind this building is a large driving range building that Don designed with his team.
2-story.
3-story.
3-story.
Ground floor is a pro shop and a heritage museum, which is going to talk about the history of golf in Philadelphia, Charlie Sifford, and all the things that have happened here in Philadelphia. The second floor is a restaurant, community restaurant, and then the third floor is a community public space. So you could have corporate events there, you could have small parties there, you could have community events. It's going to be a very welcoming, hub to the kind of the mains of the project, so right in the center of the property. And then behind it are 68 bays with Toptracer technology to hit golf balls, up into the hill. So we have very active driving range as well.
Right.
Then the creek restoration is about to get started. They're staging, the equipment's coming in right now. Don can tell you
3
more
miles of creek.
creek restoration, which is a very complicated project. I'll let Don talk about that. And then later this summer, we're going to start the actual restoration of the 18-hole championship golf course designed by Hugh Wilson and the Philadelphia School of Architects. Back in the day, that's going to be restored by, Jim Wagner and Hanse.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Hey, let's take a break, and we'll be back to talk more about the restoration of Cobbs and then some with Enrique and Don. Back here at Cobbs Creek in just a moment on Inside Golf.
A breath of fresh air, a cup of joe, a walk through history together, a laugh and a half, a challenge, and a shopping spree, a celebration, a nightcap, and a much needed release. Make Montgomery County, PA, your escape.
Welcome back. Inside Golf continues from Cobbs Creek, talking about the restoration of the golf course and the addition of a learning center and so many other things out here in Upper Darby Township in one part and the city of Philadelphia in the other. We're with Enrique and Don, and we're talking about a timeline, so to speak. All right, Don, you can maybe pick up where Enrique left off. This project goes back, let's say, 10 years. You got involved, and one of the things you wanted to do is show progress. So you decided what was going to be a sign of progress to people and really get them enthusiastic about this.
Yes. So Harry, I was brought in the end of 2022 when Tiger had made a commitment to do the Learning Lab. And I think the board realized, okay, let's figure out how to get things built quick. And my background, because I worked in Philadelphia, I kind of understood the regulatory environment, and I realized that the stream and the golf course, which were tied to an environmental permit, might take a little longer. But the other property was developable, so why not go ahead? So starting in February 23, we built a plan that would push the stream and the golf course off a little and build the water supply first. Because
a reservoir and a water pump.
Yep, so the reservoir holds 4 million gallons, and I said, if we can get that built, then I can start building other things like parts of the golf course that are upland, but stay out of the floodplain, work on the upland. So we started with the reservoir in 23, finished it by the end of 23, and by the end of 23 I had permits to start the building behind us, which was the Ed Center because it's upland, and we got those permissions, so we started in 2024, and here we are a year later in the building educating kids. And so the whole process was to build what we can, because the permissions were slightly easier than the wetlands and the streams and the golf course. And so here we are in February 2025. By the end of this year, we'll have all of our major revenue model of the big engine here is the community center and the driving range, which Enrique spoke about. That's going to be running and bringing in revenue and help the whole funding process along to another level. And then we're going to start the streams this week and the golf course in August. And the golf courses, when they start in August, it's nonstop until it's finished. And Jim's on site with Total Turf, who's a local builder of golf
Contractor.
courses. Yeah. And we've got a great golf course construction team that's chomping at a bit to start. We just got our permits yesterday.
To start construction.
Yes.
How about that? Is
So
that the final hurdle?
That is
So to
that's
speak?
the big hurdle.
As
that
of
was
right
the
now?
that was the biggest hurdle.
Right,
That
right.
was the biggest hurdle because it took me 2 years to re-engineer the stream so it was permittable, and then it took the time with Upper Darby to allow us to work in their township because they thought they owned the project. For good reasons, it's against their properties, right? And so we had to sort all that out. And then FEMA, because it's a floodplain, and one of the great impacts for the city is this golf course now will hold all of this water in a environmentally friendly way, reduce impacts downstream, because all the flooding that occurs downstream was because it just ran through the property. Now we're going to hold it here, and everything we excavate goes onto the golf course to elevate the golf course out of the floodway and protect the golf course, because the golf course was impacted by flooding.
So you will not be using municipal water to irrigate this property?
That's correct. We have permissions from the Delaware River Basin Commission to extract all the water out of both Indian Creek and Cobbs Creek, because everything that we irrigate and put back on this land goes into the aquifer that feeds the same streams we took it out of,
Right.
which the EPA and the DEP see as a sustainable net zero solution, which is a highly sustainable goal for this property.
Something else, Enrique, you can talk about a little bit is the financial impact to the locals here in Southwest Philadelphia, across the boundary into Delaware County. How many jobs are going to be created? I know now with construction, which is a finite project, but once things get up and running, people are playing golf, enjoying the facility, the learning center. How many jobs does that create?
Yeah, it's a great question, Harry, and we would just view that as a win-win for the entire region, right, for the neighborhood and everybody here. But it's about 150 full-time jobs will be on the property between the learning lab, the restaurant, the driving range, maintaining the golf course, and running the entire operation. About 150 full-time jobs on site.
Right, right. And you said about the green light for construction. I mean, once that gets started, people will drive by or hear it, will say, boy, this thing's really moving now, right? How long is it going to take to finish that 18-hole construction of golf course, thanks to Mr. Wagner and Mr. Hanse?
Well, you know, one of the key pieces of that stream engineering project was to coordinate with Jim, particularly Jim, on where all of the material that's going to come out of the stream is going to be to place on the golf course to protect the golf course he's going to design, and then how it relates to the routing that he and Gil created. And so we spent about a year working with Jim to coordinate with the stream, this redesign, so it replicates some of the historic layout by Hugh Wilson.
Right.
And the stream renovation is seamless with the golf course. And it's not today because it's changed so much. And then I would say that they can build this golf course such that in about a year and a half, it'll be growing in for an opening. And our hope is all of the Cobbs Creek upper course, right, is going to be opening in spring of 27, followed by Karakung in early 2028.
Is that going to be a full 18 or 9 holes?
Karakung is 9. The main course is 18. They combine for a championship routing that can host a PGA event.
Wow. Okay, that's an interesting question. Maybe you have, I don't know if you have the answer or not. I know there's a similar project that was, I guess, been up for a few years now in San Francisco, Harding Park. Similar concept of making it a public golf course in San Francisco, but they've hosted major events. Is that on the drawing board for Cobbs, or are we getting a little bit ahead of ourselves?
Well, Harding Park is kind of the example. That's the closest example you could find to us. You know,
Okay.
They built a public course in an urban environment and they restored it. The way this thing has been designed by Gil and Jim and Don is to be able to host a championship here, a PGA event. We've been talking to the PGA Tour for many years, and they would love to be in Philadelphia. We're the largest market by a mile that doesn't have a major tour stop since the IVB, which we talked about earlier. So they would love to be in Philadelphia, public golf course in a city, you know, with a learning lab. This is a perfect place for the PGA Tour. And the golf course that these guys have designed is a composite. So you can use some of the holes from the Karakung course, take some of the shorter holes off of the old course at Cobbs Creek, use that for staging, hospitality stands, media, and have a composite course between the two, which will be plenty long enough with plenty of room space to have a PGA Tour event.
Pretty
We have
exciting.
public transportation here. We have everything you need for a PGA Tour event, and we'd love to have one. It'd be a huge impact economically for the region.
Right.
Yeah, and following up on that, we met with Inventive Sports Group, who has been the firm that's helped set up the BMW Championship in this area. I think they're involved with the Truist. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
This year.
Yeah, and then the Inventive Group.
Now, what do they exactly do?
So they do premier PGA event setups
Separate from the PGA Tour
for the
or
PGA
whatever.
Tour.
For the
PGA Tour.
Okay.
And mostly the major events. And what they did is they came here and spent a couple days with us and walked the entire property and gave us a roadmap to host those events here.
Really?
And we took that roadmap and I worked with my team to accommodate that event on this property. So we've already planned the opportunity for a PGA to come here with the least incursion into the property. Just come in, set up, and go.
Yeah, so they know what the tour is going to be looking for.
Absolutely.
And that's why you're using them as a resource. So you can present the plans and say, hey, we've covered that already.
They've given us the plan.
Yeah, how about that? That's great. What else do you want to talk about in terms of this project, the reception it's gotten from the municipalities, and meeting permit deadlines or all that stuff? It's difficult. What keeps your eye on the ball, so to speak, Enrique?
No, it's been very challenging. It's a difficult project. We've talked about some of those things, but the people in Philadelphia understand, the mayor, the elected officials, Curtis Jones, Vince Hughes, Morgan Cephas, what kind of impact this can have on the community and what this can mean for Philadelphia. So that's the kind of things that I think about. Like, there's kids that are learning things in that learning lab that didn't have that opportunity a month ago, that are now here and are going to be here for the next 100 years. So those are the things that keep us focused. The educational piece of it is huge. And then we're going to have a championship golf course in Philadelphia for the public to play. I mean, it doesn't exist right now. Now, I would like to add that we still have a long way to go in our fundraising, okay? We've raised a lot of money, but we have not finished the fundraising. So, if anybody wants to donate, they can certainly go to our site and donate. But we have numbers inside, and we think we're going to be there. But, we're still very active in the fundraising, which has been a challenge. This is a very expensive project as well.
I can imagine. Along those lines, give us your website, how they can get involved.
It's cobbscreek.org, and there's a place you can donate on there. There's
Click on something for
this is a link that says donate, and then you can also get apparel and merchandise if you like, kind of supports us as well.
Little merch.
Yeah, and if you know anybody with lots of money that's looking for somewhere to put it, we're right here, okay? When we actually, Philadelphia's been very generous to us. The community, people, some corporations have stepped in and gotten involved. So we're very lucky in that regard. But, we still have a long way to go in our fundraising goals. But we feel confident we're going to get there.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. We'll take a break here on Inside Golf.
Hello everyone, Joanna Coe here, Director of Instruction at Marion Golf Club. I'm going to give you a few drills that you can use if you struggle with width in your backswing. So if you are narrow in your backswing, you might struggle with poor contact since you can't reach the ground too well. So what I want you to do is grab an exercise band. For our right-handers, we're going to put the band under your left toes, left ball of your foot. You're going to grab the end, and you're going to try to create as much tension as you can. Most times people struggle with width because they're lacking rotation, so they would just kind of fold their arms like so. So I want you to focus on rotating and pushing away and creating tension with the band. A couple others with the golf club. Give me a little split grip, so take your trail hand on the shaft, rotate, and slide your hand down. That's creating as much width as possible. You can also do this, half backswing, open up your palm of your trail hand and push away from you as you start rotating. You can actually hit balls that way. So try those 3 width drills to help with your contact.
Most golfers spend weeks and even months planning their dream golf vacation, researching transportation, lodging, and tee times. But not you, Doug.
Not me.
Not you. All you have to worry about is piping your drive on this iconic hole you've wanted to play since you were 9. Cause you booked your golf vacation with All Access and they took care of everything. Clear your mind, Doug. Ouch.
Heaven.
All Access. Sadly, we have to leave the golf to you.
Hi, Tony Salucci with the Beacon Group of Companies. If your company has between 50 and 500 employees enrolled in your health insurance plan, there's a really good chance we can reduce your costs significantly and increase the benefits employees receive. How do we do it? We put you together with several thousand employers of a similar size across the country, so your company can get amazing buying power. Schedule a conversation with one of our employee benefits specialists today at mybeacongroup.com.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. Going to wrap things up here from Cobbs Creek and the ambitious planning that has been underway. And hey, the finish line is approaching. Enrique and Dom, we've been sitting here for half an hour talking about everything they've accomplished so far. I asked Enrique what keeps his eye on the ball. You must have something that inspires you too that you could share with us.
I think it's the story of Charlie Sifford, the opportunity to create access for underprivileged, both from an education and a game point of view.
This was his home
yes.
for golf. He came from North Carolina to play golf here.
And he learned how to be a citizen from this. Golf teaches you all of the intangibles of life. How to win, how to lose, how to be courteous, how to be kind. All of those things drive me to encourage this team behind me, building all of this, that this isn't something they're going to do every day. This is a philanthropic gift back to the city and the community, and you're helping us get there. And that helps keep these guys' eye on the ball, because without them, this is not going to get built. Sure. And I spent a lot of time doing that. And one of the great things that we're doing is we're hiring the Mural Arts program in Philly to help us put mural artwork on this campus to tell that story, both of its history and of the history of the city of Philadelphia.
Right, and you know, we all know, or a lot of golfers know, the relationship that Tiger Woods had, Enrique, to Charlie Sifford. It was one generation, actually maybe two generations apart, but he was part grandfather, part mentor to Tiger Woods. So that's his motivation too, in getting something like this accomplished.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Charlie Sifford came to Philadelphia. It's a long story, but he came up here as a young man, you know, and ended up learning how to play golf here at Cobbs Creek. He lived in Philadelphia for 12 years and honed his game playing golf here at Cobbs Creek, and goes on to become, you know, the first black golfer to play on the PGA Tour, win on the PGA Tour. He's in the World Golf Hall of Fame. He has a Presidential Medal of Freedom from Barack Obama. And then later in his life, he became a mentor to Tiger Woods, you know, so much that Tiger referred to him as his grandfather and named his son Charlie after Charlie Sifford. So there's a real connection between the Woods family and the Sifford family, and a lot of it started right here in Cobbs Creek.
Safe to say we'll see a mural of Charlie Sifford with a stogie placed in his mouth and a golf club in his hand. And
likely Tiger Woods standing right next to him.
With his arm around him.
You got it.
Okay. Enrique Hervada, Don DeSinger. Gentlemen, thank you for sharing just a little bit in a half an hour of the so much that's been done and more to come here at historic Cobbs Creek.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Hey, I'm Harry Donahue. Remember, no matter how bad it's going for you out there, don't pick up. And we'll see you next week on Inside Golf. The 28th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Monco Golf, the first tee of Greater Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Association of Golf Course Superintendents, the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, Jersey Man and Philly Man Magazine, and Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia section of the PGA.